Hey Colorlanders, it's me, Jeff Acosta. How y'all doing? Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos before, but it's time for me to do an update about living with Asperger syndrome and what's going on in my life right now. So for those of you who've been following me on my YouTube channel for quite a few years, back in 2014, that was back like when I was going to try to get my GPA up with the hopes of getting into grad school and major in literature and writing once again. Well, back since then, I actually did get my GPA up and I applied for grad school, but unfortunately, I kept getting denied access into school. I don't know if it was my end, if it was a school or both, but I mean, it was difficult, that I didn't get accepted into any school. So what's going on currently right now, especially for those of you who've been following my Facebook page, I'm actually in the midst right now of doing a volunteer nursing program at Kaiser with the hopes that it will better my chances for employment. But to get this though, not only have I doing this volunteer program, which is a great experience, but I also took medical terminology online through a CSU school, and I got BLS certified for the American Heart Association. But more to give you an idea of like what is going on with Kaiser right now, let me tell you. Now obviously, because of the HIPAA law, I can't really say much about what's been going on, but what I've been very fortunate to be doing is I've been working with the patients and also assisting the staff, the nurses, and stocking medical supplies, which is pretty fun. It's different, but you know what? I like this experience of what I get to do with these patients because every week when I go in, it's a new experience for me, and I really am hoping that with all that I'm doing, it's going to better my chances for employment. While I am going to have to start off in the hospital in the beginning, my hope is to actually become maybe staff assistant and then go on to administration, sort of like what my mother does, because she works in the medical field as well. Now so basically what it is I just want to I'd rather do the paperwork because since for those of you who remember, I actually majored in literature and writing at UC Davis. Well, actually, I just said that in my previous shooting. But anyways, so I'd rather put my writing skills to the test in a hospital facility than just my children's books itself. So let's hope it all works out, and I will be on my way to my medical career soon. Well, so one of my followers on one of my social pages, I forgot which one it is, but has asked me though if sleeping is a big factor in my life, because apparently I guess they need a lot of sleep. I do admit there are sometimes I feel like I need to sleep a lot, but one thing about me, I'm a very productive person, so I really I like to stay active. And I mean, as you could tell, like that if the screen is like shaking a little, that's because I'm actually just filming off my phone. And so I just don't want to, I'd rather just do something like that rather than just get like a tripod and everything. And and then here's the rotation of my apartment. But anyways, when it comes to a day off, even like if I strongly believe I do deserve a day off, from work or just anything, even Kaiser or my writing, for some reason it's just hard for me to just, give myself a day off just because I like staying productive. Like even just this past weekend, like when I actually had one Saturday off, I could have given myself a day off, but unfortunately I once again ended up doing some chores and I was working on a children's book. Oh well, but you know what, that's just the way it goes. I mean, we all do things differently, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I mean, hopefully one day soon I'll be able to give myself some rest. Just like Buster. Yeah, look at him. Yeah, hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah, you're in this update for my YouTube channel. Yeah, you just want to sleep. Okay, that's understandable. Oh well, let's let him sleep. Okay, so someone actually did ask me, how do I keep my apartment clean and everything, just because it seems like that they had some issues, with clutter and all that. Well, you know what, let me tell you something, Asperger syndrome or not, nobody's perfect when it comes to being clean, because, that's just the way it is, and that's understandable. But I will tell you one thing, currently right now, even though it's been quite a, since January of this year that I had to move to my new apartment, I've actually still got some stuff put out of place, more just because, it's stuff that I'm trying to sell. Let me show you what I mean. So years ago, I was collecting a bunch of this Disney stuff, and this is still on my table and everything, and I got some plushies right there, and also 2 boxes I still got, and also both my closets are full. But you know what? What I'm hoping is, since I've been lucky to sell some things this year, I hope pretty soon I'll be able to sell a lot of these things, whether it's eBay, Craigslist, Facebook page, or even Letgo. I really just want to try to sell some things. Earlier this year, I was able to sell my 3 enchanted Tiki Room mugs for a total of $450, so that was pretty cool, wouldn't you say? I was asked by someone, what challenges do I face on a day-to-day level? And I have to say probably the one big challenge right now, and maybe this goes for a lot of people, whether they have a condition or not, like autism or Asperger's or something like that. I think the biggest challenge right now is just trying to see just try to focus on the positivity, because unfortunately social media these days has so much negativity. Biased people spread lies and misinformation on the internet, and also organizations that are very one-sided spread the lies, and people are able to believe everything that they're reading on the internet. Sometimes, like, whenever I see some messages on Facebook, especially to these pages that I support, I'm like, oh God. And then it just it really gets me down, and then I just try to do my best to get myself back up. And one thing I've actually learned from a friend of mine recently is, just breathe in deeply, not heavily, just breathe deeply, 4 seconds, then exhale for 4 seconds each, because then that will help get me through the day. While it's not always easy to make myself productive, especially if I get stuck on an emotional wing, but you know what? One thing, everybody has their challenges, and I just do think one is just trying to get up every day, because I do want to see the world in a positivity. Sure, it's not easy sometimes, but you know what? As long as there's still some positivity left in the world, there is a chance that it will be positive. I'm not a toy. One friend did ask me, though, if there is any cure for anything for Asperger syndrome or autism or anything like that, and there is not a cure, because Asperger syndrome is neurological. It's something that just develops probably just in our minds as we grow inside our mother's wombs. It's hard to truly say exactly how it all starts, but it could very well be genetic, because it does seem like that in some of my family. Because I do have two cousins who are autistic, but they're really great guys, And it's just always hard to say truly how it starts, but as much as it's not easy sometimes, I'm really lucky to have the condition that I do, because it's really is what gives me my great personality, just by being me. And let me tell you more. Heck, if it wasn't for my Asperger syndrome, I probably wouldn't have the skills to or even just the heart of a child to want to write and illustrate my children's books. As for those of you who remember my website and everything, let me show you. And that, my friends, is my children's book series. Mentioning that inner child earlier, it's also what gives me such a fun personality that people will actually want to be around me. Because, for those of you who've seen some of my earlier videos, I actually do impressions of cartoon characters and famous things, and even some sound effects. Let me give you an example. Like one of my favorites is Popeye. Gonna get me spinach. Whoa! I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. And then, for example, Mickey Mouse too. Oh, wow, what do you know? Hi, Pluto! Oh, Pluto! Pluto! And then let's see, who else do I always do that's famous? Oh yeah. Hey Mo, I'm a victim of circumstance. Oh, victim of circumstance, oh, you pudding head. Yeah. everybody says I should go into acting or voice acting. Well, maybe one day, some soon. But for right now, what I want to focus on is Kaiser. And then just if I need to further my education for a better chance, then let's see how that goes.
Oh, top of the day. Happy St. Patty's Day. Anybody got me Lucky Charms?
Relating back to talking about what could be easier for me than someone who's not on the spectrum, it's hard to truly answer that because everybody is different. But I think what it is with me is because I can actually sense things and just see things that that maybe some other people can't. Like let me see. Like, for example, I don't know for those of you who remember the nostalgia era or everything, but very recently, Warner Brothers released a horror film based on my favorite Hanna-Barbera show, The Banana Splits, which, was very hard. And for those of you who don't remember The Banana Splits, I'll show you either a clip or a picture. Let me see. Anyways, in that movie, the Banana Splits, were murderous robots based on something about Five Nights at Freddy's. But anyways, so what I did notice for those, because maybe somebody who's really into nostalgia or just really, recognizes the details and everything. Bingo, the orange gorilla, was wearing Fleagle's shoes, and Fleagle actually had Bingo's feet. So I did find it kind of odd that they had that switched around. Even though I still don't like the idea about a movie based on the Banana Splits. You know what? One thing I will say is, as much as it's hard, maybe in some way the Banana Splits are brought back to the light. Just like right here, like how I actually still have my Snorky bobblehead. And for those of you who remember seeing my previous video where I was with some of my friends at Six Flags, I brought them along with me. Just because at one point, as it turns out, the Banana Splits were featured at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom back when it was Marine World Africa USA. So I just think it's more just just keeping an eye on detail and certain things that others just don't. Heck, you'd be surprised all the detail and everything I put into my children's books, and also some stuff that I catch when I went down to Disneyland and everything. Oh, silly me. There is actually something that I can mention that might not be always easy for someone who doesn't have a condition of any kind like Asperger syndrome. I think what it is that I like when I was in school, I actually took quite a few units just to get things prepared, especially so I could transfer. I think if I remember correctly, I took about 17 or 18 units. I forgot which one it was, but it was like one of my last 2 semesters before I transferred to UC Davis. Even my college counselor, who was into she was a special ed counselor. She actually was surprised to see how many units I took. But I was able to do it despite how stressed I was, and I took one summer course despite how tired I was because I had to get up really early, and it was a math course. And then when I took on 6 more classes that very last semester before I transferred, and then I finally made it. So, but I shouldn't just say it's specifically just somebody who is on the spectrum. Anybody can do it. It might be a challenge for some people. It may not be easy, but you know what? I think it just all depends. I think it more just depends on the person. Kind of relating back to that thing about being a challenge, every morning on a day-to-day basis or day-to-day level, that is. I'd have to say one hard thing is sometimes I feel like when I wake up, I feel like I have to sometimes force myself up just because I don't know if it's just maybe a lack of sleep, kind of like when I was talking about how I'm very productive, but sometimes I feel like that almost as if my feet are on fire. Not literally on fire, of course, but they just feel that way, or even it just feels like that my shoes are 2 sizes too small. More kind of like I guess you could say allegory or something like that, but sometimes it's just hard just because, kind of relating back to the positivity thing, like how it's just hard sometimes at how negativity has kind of taken over on some things, especially on social media. But as much as it's not easy sometimes, I force myself up in the best of ways, and just look at the world in a great way, and just think about all that I'm very lucky to have. Hey, I'm lucky to have the family that I do. Sure, we have our moments, but I'm very lucky to have the family, and I'm very lucky to have wonderful friends. And these friends, surprisingly, are also some I work with too. So for those of you who actually follow my YouTube channel, Facebook page, or even other social media pages, very recently, I was with some friends at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and not only were they my friends, but they were also some coworkers of mine. Yeah, we all worked together, and it was pretty interesting. And that comes to another important task right there I must talk about, or a point, I should say. So, where I've been working for quite a while, even though I wish I had done things a little differently, is the corporation of Target. I consider myself a jack of all trades there. I'm the front lanes, the register service, the customer service desk, the food court, and I also do card attendant as well. And then there are times I've done hard lines. Let's see, and then also what's called price signing, and price accuracy, and basically all those is basically like seeing what's on the shelves, what needs to be stocked, and everything. And so while I wish I had done things differently, especially like after I got my bachelor's in literature and writing, some time ago, I think what really helped staying for as long as I did is it helped make my verbal skills actually very better, because I would have to say this, but 10 years ago I was very different. If you look at, excuse me, I feel like I'm going to burp or something. Oh, there it goes. If you were to look at one of my videos from years ago, you'd be surprised how different I was. How I talked, how I interacted, and just how, like, I admit I would say some things that I wish I had never said before. So in some way, Target actually did help, like, with my skills, and it also helped me with coping with stress sometimes, because trust me, stress and having Asperger's don't always go hand in hand sometimes, because there are times that we do get some really bad customers, and even to the point like where you just want to be like, oh, you monster, and all those things. Oh, and trust me, I think we all felt that, and I've even have some regulars who've seen the way that some horrible customers have treated us, and they're like, oh, why are they treating them like that? That's just sad. But you know what? That's just the way some people choose to be. And as much as it's hard, and sometimes I want to be like, oh, you know what? I just don't let it get to me. I actually do believe in karma. So I really do think in some way that Target actually helped improve my skills, because people still say to me, you have Asperger syndrome? I would never have seen that. And I think a lot of it's just because of like all that I've done over the years, and how my skills have changed. So I really do think Target has helped me in a great manner. And I'm very lucky to have the friends and coworkers that I do, as you can see. One more personality trait I should say that I definitely have, besides my personality that gets me the heart of a child, or even the chance to write my children's books, or even the ability to do all my jokes and puns and everything, is despite how stressed out I could be, I actually have determination inside me, to make things better for myself. Sure, there were some things I wish I had thought about a long time ago, but you know what? I'm just glad that I'm considering them now, as the fact that I'm doing this program for Kaiser, it's really going to help. I've let some opportunities in the past slip, especially when it came to getting into grad school at the right time, so that's why I'm doing my best not to let this one slip. I'm putting everything I can into Kaiser to make things better. And relating to my children's books, while I have been turned down by, I think I wrote to about 20 literary agencies, and all of them said my series wasn't in their taste, the way I see it now, I'm part of the group. Or a club, I guess you could say, because you know what, to get professionally published, you have to get denied, by publishers or even literary agencies. I mean, hey, I don't know for sure if it's really true or not, but Stephen King said how he could decorate the walls with all the rejection letters he got in the past. So in some way, if Stephen King didn't let that get him down, you know what, I'm not going to let it get me down either. I will be professionally published one day. I feel it, and I'll make a difference for children and adults, especially those who have any condition of any kind. Someone asked me if I get inspired by anyone outside my family for my appearance, and obviously, as you can see, I'm just just wearing just a regular shirt or anything. But I mean, in the past, I do have to say my family was a big inspiration, because I will tell you, my mother was always like, "Sweetie, you got to be careful. You don't want to dress sloppy, otherwise it will affect your appearance." And I admit I didn't really take it seriously at that time, because I was young, and we all learn. But now I'd watch what I wear. I mean, heck. With me, with going to Kaiser, I have to be sure that my scrub, my shirt, and also my pants and my shoes are all in perfect shape, because the last thing I want is to have anything that's out of place and that can get me sent home and basically take away my chances for employment. So in short, for right now, I don't know if I really have any outside inspiration for my appearance. I think it's more just something I learned over the years, and just something I had to take into mind for myself, because I mean, everybody's seen how I dress, and while I'm not perfect, I do my best to look nice when it comes to special occasions, like just a big anniversary or something like that. So, but if I do think of anything, I would let you guys know in another video in the future. One thing I will say about the mentioning of the overcoming the challenges and everything, I couldn't have done it on my own because I've had a lot of wonderful people who were inspiration in my life and to help me succeed. And one person who was the biggest of all inspirations was my mother, because she always kept pushing me into trying more. And I admit sometimes it wasn't easy because we all had we all had those moments with our parents. But what I'm very lucky is the fact is that my mom saw potential in all of us, my siblings and everything, and she just kept pushing us to try more. And so yes, I let some opportunities in the past slip, as I said before already, but that's why with Kaiser and with her guidance, or just because I said she works in the medical field, that's why I'm trying to do my best to not let this one slip. It's not easy sometimes, especially because I chose one of the earliest shifts to go into Kaiser. But you know what? I'm willing to take on the challenge because I want to show Kaiser I'm willing to take on anything, and then that they could see me as potential for employment, or any medical facility that I would start at, I should say. So. As much as it wasn't always easy, my mother really was a big help, and I consider myself lucky. I know it's unfortunate because I've seen some people who don't really have good parents, and I don't want to just like say like, oh, they're bad people, or like, oh, ooh, and all those things, kind of like what the media does. But you know what, I should say, it's just unfortunate that I just wish people would all just even right now it's hard for me to say, but I guess for right now I could say is I'm just lucky to have the mom that I do. So one person did ask me, like, what was it like earlier this year, like when I had to move, unexpectedly to my new apartment? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't easy because it was like probably like a few days after Christmas, I found I was gonna have to move. So I mean, trust me, I felt like I wanted to just cry. I wanted to just be in bed and just shed my tears away. It was almost kind of like what I saw the mother doing in the Disney Pixar cartoon Bao or Bao. I can't pronounce it, but like where it showed her at one point just like in bed crying, because she would miss her son. That's kind of like what I felt like. But I was very lucky. I had my family to help me move, get my stuff to my apartment and everything, which I'm really lucky. But next time I had, and that's kind of a thing with this move is it gave me a chance to think some things I'm surprised I never thought about before at my old place. I thought I was thinking about some things financially, but I was wrong. In fact, as many of you may remember in my past videos, I used to go to Disneyland a lot. In fact, here are some videos from last year's trip. So while that was fun, I've gone to Disneyland too much. I mean, and it was great, but it does add up eventually. So this year I did not go to Disneyland or anything. I just, stood at home. I did go to Atlantic City and saw Lucy the elephant, and I still returned to Croatia with my family. But I was able to plan all those, and it didn't cost me as much as I would Disney. So, and that's kind of the thing. So, like, I've just been just trying to get things, squared away. I've been selling my Disney stuff, which I'm glad that I'm finally going to let go of. And just hoping that once I get settled with Kaiser, things will be better and everything. Sleepy, aren't you, Buster? Yeah, look at you. He just wants to sleep. Oh well, we'll just let him sleep again. And going back to my friends, I'm just really lucky to have the friends and coworkers that I do. Sure, you won't always be making friends with all your coworkers, or wherever you work, but I consider myself very lucky to have the ones that I do, especially with all that we've been doing lately. So I think in some way, Or sorry, what do I mean? I think. Of course I do. Just like my family, they were also a big inspiration to make me who I am today. Because it's because of them. Just like my family, I'm very sociable, and I'm very lucky.
Hey, see those bumpers?
Good shit.
Go, Jeff!
Alright, that was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah!
And going back to like talking about like when a friend of mine asked me about a cure, it's hard for me to say truly about like when years ago, like when Asperger syndrome was taken out of basically the DM and put in the same category as autism. Well, it's hard for me to say because I got mixed emotions about that. But one thing I will say is, as long as there are people like myself, Asperger syndrome will never be forgotten. It'll still be mentioned. It will. And to show more about my personality and everything, here are some clips from past trips and everything. As much as I wish I was with Megan and Ryan, and it was scary, like when my flight got canceled. This is pretty much one of the best ways I could see Paris. It's pretty cool. This definitely means I want to come someday, but I can't wait to be with my family tomorrow morning.
From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back.
Well, everybody, that is my 2019 update for having Asperger syndrome and what is going on in my life. If you have any other questions or anything, please feel free to write to me on my website, Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Meet writer Jeff Acosta. It'll be great to hear from you, wouldn't we, Buster? Yeah, you don't know, do you? Oh well. One thing about you really love sleeping.
In the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be.